Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Tinkerpreneurs. Good afternoon, teachers. Good afternoon, mentors. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the moment we all waited for. As we step into the grand finale, the final session of the India AI Tinkerpreneur 2025, let's pause and look back. What an incredible journey this has been, right? From learning how to build the digital campaigns to unlocking the power of AI, from hearing the top minds of the country and from hearing the top minds of the country to watching you, our young innovators, ideate, create, and rise. This wasn't just a summer boot camp. This was a movement of curiosity, courage, and creation. You have not just attended the sessions by Intel and AIM, you have absorbed the ideas. You have not just learned the tools, you have applied them. You have not just the built projects, you have built possibilities. And with this, we are now into the final session where we have a very, very special guest today, Mr. Gokul V. Subramaniam. We hardly welcome you, Gokul, for this very special session. So, Mr. Gokul V. Subramaniam is the president of Intel India and vice president and general manager of the client platform and system groups in Intel Cloud Computing Group. He leads global efforts in system technologies, platform validation, and reference designs. Since joining Intel in 2012, he has played key roles in innovation and recently spearheaded the Manufacturing in India ODM initiative. Gokul holds a master's in computer science from University of Texas at Arlington and an executive certificate from MIT Sloan. Beyond Intel, he runs an entrepreneurship program for children and lives in Bangalore with the family. A very warm welcome, Gokul, for this finale session of Tinkerpreneur, India AI Tinkerpreneur 2025. This has been an incredible journey where we have partnered for the very first time with Intel and to give students the real hand impact of what the AI can create into their products. And now I would like to invite Ms. Dipali Upadhyay, Program Lead, Atal Innovation Mission, to speak few words on this partnership and the incredible journey of Tinkerpreneur 2025. Over to you, Dipali.
Thank you so much, Shubham. And let me again welcome everyone on this session today, including Mr. Gokul from Intel. It's indeed a privilege for us and for the ATL students to be benefiting from your knowledge and through this masterclass today. I think these are such rare and great opportunities for the Atal Tinkering Labs, where you get access to experts like these, them taking out their time to give their knowledge and teach you something important that will help you for life. This year, Atal Innovation Mission, Atal Tinkering Labs program collaborated with Intel on the Tinkerpreneur, our flagship summer bootcamp program, which focuses on building digital skills and eventually students creating their pseudo startups. But with this initiative this year of Intel and Niti Aayog coming together, I think the special part was that we focused a lot on skilling. So you saw a two-part program, unlike other years. This year, the first phase, which we are concluding with today's masterclass, was primarily focused on skilling and how you can acquire skills on AI and on entrepreneurship. A very, very potent combination for every ATL student to have. So I would say the 13 sessions that took place in the last few weeks that we started the boot camp, every session had something to add in terms of students' knowledge and skills. Those were taken by experts from the industry, from academia. We had a very strong lineup of experts and sessions for the ATL students. And hence, we had more than 1.5 lakh views. So students automatically understand and see value in these sessions. That's why we had more than 1.5 lakh views to all these sessions. We had 15,000 plus participants on the portal who had registered. Now, I want to encourage more and more students to participate in Tinkerpreneur. Even at this stage, you can leverage from some of the masterclasses and some of the sessions because these were YouTube live sessions. You can still access them and you can still learn. So the idea is that This boot camp, of course, encourages a time-based learning, but you have, you can also pick up these skills at your own pace. There are several learning modules that we have jointly created in collaboration with Intel, in fact, on AIoT, as well as entrepreneurship skills through AI. So there are several such modules that you can leverage on the AIM website, which have been jointly created. But this bootcamp definitely adds more to those initiatives with these facilitated sessions that are available for you. On top of that, we had 3 masterclasses. One of them is also happening today. So take the advantage of this expert session today that is being done by Mr. Gokul. And apart from that, I'm also very happy to see something that has come up a long way, starting with Tinkerpreneur. Some of the top students from Tinkerpreneur and from other competitions have formed the Tinker Champs group. I'm very proud of all of you, all the Tinker Champs, who are in fact ATL students who are actually creating content for Tinkerpreneur, who are taking sessions, and you've actually really done such a strong peer learning. I must appreciate and salute you for the efforts you've done. I've seen the kind of content you've created, the kind of posters you create. You're a fabulous team. So I know many more Tinker Champs will come out of this Tinkerpreneur season also. So join the bandwagon of Tinker Champs, all the Tinkerers out there, and make the most of this session today. I once again thank the Intel team, Ms. Shweta, Mr. Gokul, Shatrupa, Vikram, who all have been instrumental in taking off this program. We have a phase 2 coming up of your submissions, so please stay tuned and connected. This is just the skilling wrap up, but the submissions will happen soon. And I also thank the ATL team for putting in their efforts over several years into this Tinkerpreneur, making it such a strong property. Shubham, Suman, Prateek, Riddhi, and various other team members who've been associated with this program over the years. So thank you so much. And I wish all the students, teachers, mentors the very best for the next phase that's coming up of your submissions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dipali. Without further ado, I would like now to invite Mr. Gokul Subramaniam to take up this masterclass. Over to you, Gokul.
Shubham, and thank you, Deepali. Very impressive, and honestly, it's a very nice experience for me to be in this session today for a few reasons. Before we start the session, maybe I can start giving a little bit about the background, how this started. Of course, great effort by the Atal Tinkering Labs team. It's been a great journey, and there are some hidden stories that is also there for me to actually be here today. And again, Shweta and the Intel team for working closely with the ATL team to make this really a very scalable platform for all of the students to learn, both from being hands-on. I really love the way Shubham put it, courage, curiosity, and what was the third C? Curiosity, courage, and creativity, right? Those are very important things. And of course, not just projects, but bringing the possibilities on. Honestly, it was about exactly 10 years ago, around this time, 10 years ago, not exactly to this date, that I was in a entrepreneurship class at Sloan. And we were working on several ideas. People were working on startups and pitching it. And one of my ideas was to create an entrepreneurship program for school children. And I had worked on it and set up that whole program, and I presented to Chintan at that time when he was with the Tata Research. That was 10 years ago. And the feedback that Chintan gave me before he joined ATL was, hey, Gokul, this is great. When are you going to take this broad and big across the country? And I was, obviously there was courage, there was some creativity, but I had not really tested the possibility of such a program. And that triggered this whole process. For the next 2-3 years, I spent time teaching that module personally in schools. And then obviously, as luck would have it, we had the pandemic. Still then, it was still a kind of a fledgling small bird coming out of the bird, but didn't know how to fly. And that's when, thanks to Intel and to ATL, they said, hey, why don't we take this bigger and broader working with ATL? And I'd given all my program and curriculum, and Shweta and team did the magic to have these modules available online in so many different languages. And obviously, thanks to ATL, it had the audience and platform. And so for me, it's a kind of a full circle to be able to come back here today and share some time with you, all of you. So I'm really I feel blessed, honored, and really humbled to be here because I'm talking to the entrepreneurs that are going to actually be the ones that will be the stars in the next decade and the decades to come. So for me, in that sense, I really hope you will look back at this 1 hour and feel like you got something out of it. Um, the other interesting thing is also that it's been 3 decades since I finished, I graduated and started to work. And in that sense, bringing technology and entrepreneurship together and talking about it is also very close to my heart. And I really would draw some of my examples and experiences as I talk today. Now, before we get started, clearly, why is entrepreneurship so important, and what's the value of bringing the angle of entrepreneurship in our curriculum, in our education? One of the strong things that I always feel is for a country of India's size that's diverse and that's got so many things happening, we have great curriculum, we have great opportunities that teaches us about how to be a very good employee, but how do we also become very good employers, job creators, and how we can take this in a way that it's really scalable for us as a country, where we are creating companies and we are creating products and we are actually being showing the world how we can lead, not only being the true IT and technocrats, but also really entrepreneurs. So in that sense, entrepreneurship is super important. It's also very important in many other angles in the real world. One is it gives us the ability to bring those 3 C's that Shubham talked about: the courage, creativity, and your ability to bring all of them together in the real world as you get in, as you learn, as you have your own ideas. How do you put that into real projects, real things that you can build, that you will be able to go and showcase? It also emphasizes many things about teamwork. It emphasizes a lot about resiliency, because entrepreneurship's journey, entrepreneur's journey, is not always very pretty and rosy. It has a lot of ups and downs. It has a lot of challenges, problems that not always it's a bed of roses, and being able to deal with that as an entrepreneur. Because if you have an idea, you start to discuss about it, and then as you discuss a great idea one day, you sleep and you get up the next day, the same idea as you discuss with somebody else may not come across as a great idea as you talk about it. And then you feel like, oh man, I thought this was really good, but when you start to communicate, it really doesn't come out as nice as I thought it would be, not only to somebody else, but even my own self. Then you start to figure out, how do I give it more form, shape, and make that creation a little bit more from a raw clay to something that's even more attractive. So there is aspects of communication, there is aspects of exchanging views and ideas. Not always does an entrepreneur come up with an idea, the same idea as the one that's successful. It goes through several metamorphoses, changes as it shapes and develops. So building that ability to listen is a very important attribute, whether you're an entrepreneur or you are also working for a company. So those are important capability: teamwork, communication, resiliency, going through ups and downs, failures, hard work, thinking through what really makes sense for somebody to buy something that you've built. Why is it valuable and useful? Learning to disassociate yourself from the idea and look at it from the buyer's view, or a person who will use your product, is also very different. In fact, it's very true even in the real world at Intel. When we are talking about products and technologies and innovation, a lot of times the engineers will come and say, I have a great idea, will say, tell me more about it. And the same thing that you go through as an entrepreneur inside the company, which we call intrapreneur, they go through the same learning. And if they've not had a class, they wouldn't know how to communicate. Another thing is all the bias. Because it's my idea, it feels really good. Once you feel so good about it, you stop listening to other people's input and feedback. You become so much fond of your idea that even though sometimes it's not the best thing, you shut off all the other good suggestions. How to work with those and be able to bring this. Because even in a technology company, every day you have to deal with innovation. Every day you have to deal with something creative in the work that you do. And for all of those, the elements of teamwork, communication, resiliency, dealing with feedback, morphing your views and thoughts are all very important. And guess what? Many of them who haven't really had a chance to live through an entrepreneurship, not just curriculum, but a program of building and doing something, they have a hard time in the real world. They have a hard time in the companies. And people who really shine are people who have had a little bit of that background. And in my own career, when I started off, I worked for a company, then I worked for a startup for 2, 3 years, and then I came back to the corporate world. It did me a world of good when I did that 3 years of working in a small company startup, which taught me a lot more of the entrepreneurial skills. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you learn to do many things, not just one job. Because you're in a small team, you're the person who will build something. You'll also be the person that probably will deliver chai to the other person. You'll also be the person that probably is pulling the cable and connecting things. It's not restricted to one role. And that teamwork brings something that's very, very important to be successful in the real world. So entrepreneurship is super important. It really brings a lot more of an individual's character to shine in the real world. Character comes from courage and creativity and capability. All of these are very important. And these you don't just learn by reading a chapter on courage or reading an autobiography on some creativity. You got to actually go through that process. And I think this Tinkerpreneurship program that you're going through gives you those elements, gives you the opportunity to live in a smaller space of that. And that's totally enough and sufficient to kind of have that big opening as you come to the real world and do this. So that's why entrepreneurship is important. The second thing that's becoming very important in the current times is artificial intelligence. So much to say, there is enough talked about why AI is important. It's almost like, I don't know, some of our generation, first time when computers came, we were all like, oh, everything is becoming computerized. And people used to say computer is changing the way we work. And I think if you go one generation back, they would say telephone changed the world. Nobody's even aware of what the telephone looks like now. Then came mobile phone and then the internet, and then AI is something as fundamental as how electricity was viewed in the 20s and 30s in the 19th century. It's literally that much of a shift in how we will live our lives, how we will do our jobs, how we will be very different as the generation in the coming years. Meaning, even today, anything and everything, if you see, people are using technology. There's not a single day that goes in any age group that somebody is not using a technology. Even if they don't use the phone, they watch the TV. And if they don't watch the TV, they have a refrigerator. They don't use a refrigerator, they are either driving in a car. Or if they're not driving a car, they're using a laptop. In many forms, in some way or the other, even if you didn't do any other stuff, the public transportation that you take, the bus, or the metro that you take, or the movie that you watch, or even when you go out, the best example in India to know that there is technology and everywhere is things that you do like phone pay or a GPay, the digital payment that you do. There is a lot of underlying artificial intelligence that is powering it already. So without our own knowledge, we are touching and we are users of AI. With AI, there is many levels. One is as a user. Second, you start to build some applications that uses AI. Then you actually write some large language models. You're building your own artificial intelligence models. Third is deep down algorithms that are needed to make it run. Even go deeper, you're making computer chips that will make artificial intelligence work. When you put it all together, you start to apply it in various facets, be it in education, be it in agriculture, be it in defense, be it in healthcare, be it in public services, transportation. A lot of these spaces starting to use AI, and you would actually, it has become a medium of success. For example, a lot of times people would say, if I did, which medium are you learning your education in? In the previous generation, they used to say, hey, I went to an English medium school or a Hindi medium school or whatever. AI is becoming the language, a medium for you to learn things. So it's become that critical. So it's good to know that you're all bringing AI and entrepreneurship together. Where on one hand, you're learning technology, which is very important for every facet, whatever stream you may be pursuing. Some of you may be science majors who wants to become an engineer or a doctor or a chemist or a pharmacist, or you want to do chemical engineering, you want to do material science, all of these science subjects, it doesn't restrict there. People who are doing humanities are using artificial intelligence. There are research about how AI can help in Alzheimer's disease detection, AI for even things like counseling, AI for art, generative art. People are starting to make artwork and copywriting it by using AI. In any of the business, commerce, if you are more economics major, or you're a business major, or you're an accounting major, there is a lot of artificial intelligence there. Guess what? Artificial intelligence is there in journalism. In this call, for example, this background segmentation that you see is driven by AI. Even though you're in a video conference call, I've got a different background here that's generated by a small AI engine that runs in your phone or your laptop. So, in terms of why it's become a medium rather than it's only for an engineer, this is why it is, because the ability to use artificial intelligence to do things much better, faster, it's becoming a co-intelligence of sorts. So think of it this way: as you walk in as let's say an engineer or a doctor or whatever you might be as a profession, when you have AI, you suddenly got an exoskeleton. Your capabilities have doubled. As an individual, if you have some skills, AI gives you something more. It's almost like saying, I have two hands, I've got four or six. Similarly, if I had one brain, I have another brain, my own other brain that's giving me more data, that is opening up my capability a lot more. And so this is something that is very critical for us to be successful, because this allows us to do things that we were previously couldn't easily do, or it took us a lot of time and it took us a lot of energy and a lot of computation to do. That's what AI does. And if you were to combine these two together, in fact, I even was in one of the sessions where a lot of companies startups. You've heard the word startups, right? There's a lot of technology startups. There are two engineers, for example, who are building some technology. But these are engineers who may not have gone through an entrepreneurship boot camp like you are. And so they don't know the aspects of how to sell a product, how to market it, or how to be a CEO, to be able to pitch and develop larger scale for it. What can be used by 10 people? Can it be used by 1,000 and 10,000 and a million? They haven't thought through those. So what they start to do is they start to look for a co-founder. So it's their idea, but since they're limited in their entrepreneurial skills, they're trying to go hire for a co-founder who's got the entrepreneurial skills, even though that person is not the originator of the whole startup idea. And guess what? AI has started to create a AI-driven co-founder agent for these entrepreneurs who are engineers, let's say, who didn't have the entrepreneurial skill. Instead of them going and trying to hire a co-founder, they hire an AI agent that acts like a co-founder, giving them that additional skills, that exoskeleton brain to be like that business person. So, the ability to marry these two worlds are phenomenal. Personally for me, in my career, as I graduated and did my master's and went to the industry, one of the things that I really learned, like I told you, is having some entrepreneurial exposure or passion to be an entrepreneur, and the characteristics and attributes that you learn from it really made me outshine compared to my peers who didn't have that as much. There are an element of inherent leadership skills that you gain, which a book or a curriculum may not easily teach you. It may open up your knowledge, but it has to be experiential. If you don't experience entrepreneurship, you won't be able to get those qualities. And that has really helped me. And it's really helped me not only through my career as I progress at Intel, but also to be able to listen to new ideas, to be able to connect people together and do things that are more groundbreaking. Um, Last thing that I'll tell you at Intel, like any technology company, there is a lot of AI happening within the company. What it means for me right now in my leadership role is I use AI for a number of things, not just go into ChatGPT and ask questions, but as we build chips, we use AI to do engineering work. You would have heard of AI helping you to write the code for software. Similarly, AI can also help you do some of the electrical engineering, some of the computer architecture, how a chip can be built. But for all of this, it's not just you give it to the AI and you sit down or you go chill. It's always a human in the loop. AI gives you the scaffolding, the initial thing that you can do, which you don't have to waste time, which is boring, mundane job. It gives you the initial scaffolding that you can then go say, hey, I want this to be changed and that to be changed. It goes and does some more things and then it comes back to you. So it almost is like you're bouncing off of your ideas and your work with your own alternate self, your own digital twin. So in many ways, within my role and the teams that I lead, they use a lot of AI to develop products. Even the computer chips that will be used by AI to engineer those chips, we use AI, right? So it's a very interesting ecosystem of how AI is being used. Those were some of the things that I had in mind in terms of why this space is important, how entrepreneurship can really augment your personality, your thought process. Entrepreneurs think very differently compared to people who have not gone through entrepreneurship. It's almost like saying, if I read a book, I can do the exam really well. But if I give you all the application questions that is not directly in the textbook, how would you solve it? That's the kind of shift a person who's gone through entrepreneurship journey and a person who's not gone through. That's the big difference. The way they think creatively, their ability to take risks, bold, responsible risks, their ability to work with a team and be, super driven about wanting to achieve the goal. Those things that brings, and AI adds an element of technology to it. So you know what? I think I've spoken for almost 30 minutes or so. Um, you've all gone through the module. I'm reasonably familiar with the module because I taught it personally myself, but it got really nice shape when it went online as and the way that it was structured and how it was delivered. Any questions, anything that you want to ask me, be it on entrepreneurship, be it on AI, or anything else on in terms of the industry or the business, or what you're going through, or you want to share about the products you're building and what you'd like to understand better. Not so much for me to answer. I'd love to learn from you and have a good discussion.
Yeah, Gokul, we have like several questions posted by students.
Okay.
They are really ecstatic to have this session. And yeah, means this AI for entrepreneurship module has been very well received by all the teachers as well as the students. Uh, so the very first question is here. So means this explains the curiosity. What do you think is an appropriate age to develop entrepreneurial mindset? Is it too late for my father or too soon for me?
I love this question.
Yeah.
All this question. It's never too late, first of all. In fact, I'll give you an example. There's a company called Dad and Dude. it's a father and son who've been working on that company. And the son started to work with his dad when he was, I think, in the seventh or eighth standard or even younger, in addition to going to school. Personally, for me, I would say, I always, when I started to teach this class as an experiment, when I was doing the entrepreneurship class, I preferred students to start at the eighth grade at the least, eighth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, only because as you get into the 10th grade and as you get in past 10th into your 11th or 12th, you start to get very busy with all your exams and preparation of what's next. Your mind is not so free. And you're also a little bit biased. So if you want to start, the earlier would be better at the sixth, seventh, eighth. But it's an ongoing journey. I've actually mentored students who've been in high school as well as in college. Now, let me answer the other part. When you start getting a past working for companies or whatever, and then you want to start your entrepreneurial journey later, then it's not only for just the fresh graduates, only for young people to be entrepreneurs, adults, and it's for any age. In fact, you have to take it to your advantage. When you are in an age group that's higher than, let's say, the 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s or whatever that might be, you have a rich experience. And you can use that experience as a way for you to be an entrepreneur because you know a little bit more. So there is an advantage to being ignorant because with ignorance comes boldness and courage, right? If you don't know something, you're going to be bold because you're not worried. With experience comes both benefit, but there is also a disadvantage. Experience gives you expertise, but it also takes away your risk-taking capability because you already know that this is not going to work. You may think it may not work. So there is no age barrier. But yeah, if you would love to do something with your parent, go for it.
Thank you, Gokul. Nicely put up. Another question is, AI is rapidly changing. There is no end to it. Means there are several tools now available for skilling as well as for entrepreneurship. So how do you think the latest advancements in AI have transformed the era of entrepreneurship?
Uh, I think it's an ever-changing space right now, like you rightly pointed out, who is asking that question. It is an evolving space. For entrepreneurship, the biggest example that really struck me was don't go hire a co-founder, build an AI agent that is your co-founder. To me, that's phenomenal because you don't need to spend the money or go hire somebody that suits your culture. Instead, you have an AI assistant that can do the job which you lack as a skill set. For an entrepreneur, typically a lot of times budget and capital is always a challenge. So they're extremely frugal till they actually start to make money and have cash flow and everything. So using a lot more of AI tools rather than hiring people to do becomes very critical for the entrepreneur. So many of the things that they typically may be thinking of not feasible that I have to hire, they may be able to do it with AI tools.
Makes sense, Gokul. Uh, you talked about risk, Gokul. So here is about the risk. I will not let it be to be a risk, but a kind of the the curious question, I would say. The kid says, I am very interested in becoming an entrepreneur. However, I do not have any idea as to what product I should work on or what kind of company would be profitable in the future. So how do I inspire myself to have that eureka moment?
Uh, So one of the things you could try is to um, first of all, there is, I think somewhere in the module, I don't know where you may have seen, there is an interest, there is the skill, if you have it, expertise, and then is it really bringing value for the customer, for somebody will they need it. So for example, let's say I'm interested in, let's say someone's interested in saying, wants to build a new car that runs on battery, very efficient. But if they have no expertise of it, but there is a lot of value if I built a product like that for the customer. Anytime you have an idea, see that you should have an intersection of these three: your interest, the expertise needed to build the product, and is there value for customers. The more you all these three intersect, the chances are you will be successful. Now, expertise to build something need not be at your individual level. It can also be at the level where you know somebody else who can join you to bring that expertise. So always start to write down your ideas, uh, and then take it through the process of discussing with people and see if it falls into these three categories, and if there is an intersection: your interest, the expertise that you or the team that has, and is it bringing value to an unsolved need? Will the market need it? Will people want it? Right? Those are some of the ways to do it. And don't always wait for the eureka moment. Between many eureka moments, there are many other smaller eureka moments that may or may not take off, and you don't know. So discussing with people and having like-minded people deliberate about it, debate about it, is one way to really distill out your ideas.
Sure, Gokul. There's another question on AI. What, according to you, is the upcoming advancement in AI, and how will it impact the entrepreneurial spirit globally?
So there's many things in AI that's upcoming, starting from more language models that are more smaller and effective, that can fit rather than very large ones for training. Um, I can tell you areas where India can benefit a lot from AI. Let me put that angle so that it gives some boundary condition for us to talk about it. Otherwise, it becomes very broad. I'd like to look at AI in those sectors or those um, areas where technology is not being used as much today. Okay. And if you brought in AI, you could leapfrog, you could do an advancements way better. What are those? For example, there is not much done on AI and agriculture today. There's not much done on AI in healthcare, so much to reach the masses. Yeah, still used to give a lot of radiology image. It'll tell you if the quickly predict your if there's cancer and things like that. But can you have a trusted AI bot that can look at your symptom and tell what problem you have without a real doctor, and that accuracy is close to 100%? Things like that, right? So that for a large country like ours, agriculture, healthcare, education, AI is still not really taken to a point where can we walk around with always a personal assist, personal coach, a personal mentor, our own personal teacher, right? Who will be able to teach us in a way that we like, in a form that really calibrates against my skill, not for the best student or some other student, but for me, and in a language that I want. So, education, healthcare, agriculture, public services can, for a country like India, there's a lot of opportunity in public services to use AI. So those are some areas, and I think if you apply there, there's some good opportunities. Beyond that, there is several other areas. This is just one way of approaching. Look for problem statements where technology is not used much. Try to use AI. Don't force fit AI. There should be some reason. Second is, can that solution be for a very large number of people? Because then there is bigger business value. If you build something only 10 people bought versus 10,000 people bought, which is better? 10,000 is better because you have more ability to do it. All right. So you can think of it that way. So those are some of the suggestions.
Yeah. Um, I guess we are receiving so many thanks, Gokul, to explain both AI and entrepreneurship. concepts in such a simple manner. And yet, here is a question. Is it really true that I can really become an entrepreneur so easily, or is there a catch to it?
Um, there's nothing easy in anything you do in life. There is no shortcuts. There is no bypassing hard work. Um, but it all starts with a passion. So if you're passionate about something, pursue it. Give your full attention, capability, and focus to it. Um, and anyone's career is filled with only success. Entrepreneurs life has a lot of failures and challenges before they hit the success. So it's also not for people who can't uh, um, manage with that kind of up and down. It's okay. It doesn't mean everybody has to be an entrepreneur. Sometimes being an entrepreneur gives you characteristic to be a great technologist, to be a great employee too, and that's fine. And it also brings creativity. Entrepreneurship is not about just making money. You could be a great problem solver for your family. You could conduct a great event with a number of people in your family being an entrepreneur because you're pulling people together, be it a get together, be it a wedding, be it something else that you're doing with friends. All of this has elements of those that are needed. So on one side, it does sound like a bed of roses, but not everybody turns out to be the top entrepreneur. They go through, even the top ones go through a lot of their challenges before they get there.
I guess, Gokul, these were the questions predominantly. And yeah, we are receiving so many uh, like uh, like a feedback. Okay, can you come to my ATL to see my product? Can you visit an ATL? Can we have a showcase of Tinkerpreneur AI-enabled projects where you could be the host of it, you host it, something like that. I mean, people are really ecstatic to know, okay, AI is soon be a game changer. So here we are. So for all of you, each one of you is already a Tinkerpreneur since you have participated in it. Someone who doesn't wait for change but drives it. And India needs you. Definitely your energy, your questions, your ideas, your belief. And age is no bar for any kind of ambition. And this is not the end, this is just the beginning. And as Dipali stated, we are just ending the skilling part of Tinkerpreneur today. Stay tuned for the updates on India AI Impact Festival, which will be jointly launched again very soon. We are launching it, where we will be inviting submissions of your projects, and the submission will be both individual as well as team. So the skilling part was largely individual, but the submission will be both individual as well as team formats. So stay tuned for those submission guidelines. You have to submit both your pitch deck as well as the pitch video, and soon we will be opening the submission portal as well. Don't worry, you will get enough time to think about what the real pitch deck should be, what the real pitch video should be. Till then, we all encourage you to keep working on your products and the projects you are thinking for submissions. And definitely go on, start small, but dream bold. Stay curious, stay kind, and most of all, keep tinkering. This is where we end today. Thank you so much, Gokul, for joining this masterclass. It was amazing. We are still receiving lots of comments. We hope that we can send you an email with all the comment sections. Okay, these are the comments we have received for your great masterclass. And yeah, we are signing off for today. But it's just the end of the Tinkerpreneur skilling. Stay tuned, and in the portal you will receive today that there will be a pop-up that the submission is going to be started. And that link, when you click it, whenever the submissions will be enabled, that will be it, the India AI Impact Festival. So all of you, keep tinkering and keep making the good AI enabled projects for this year Tinkerpreneur. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. We end it here.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you.
Yes, we can drop now. The live streaming is done. Thanks, Gokul.
Thanks so much, Shweta and ATF team. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.